Hey everybody. Hey everybody. I'm so excited to have our podcast guest today, Mr. Phillip Cooper. How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. It's Monday. I'm rejuvenated. Hallelujah.
Look, listen, y'all. He is full of energy. Okay, so right now it's about what 9 o'clock your time. So we're late at night, and he's full of energy after a full day of work. So this is the kind of energy you want on your team, right? So let's go ahead and jump in. We met what over social media, and he's always sharing all of the different types of work that he is doing. And so let's just jump in and let people know exactly where are you from, kind of what your background is, and
All right.
what's your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here, Miss Tasha. It's I try to tell people, man, social media is powerful.
Mhm.
It's one of the best weapons we have in fighting. The fighting off whatever it is we fight, whether it's mental health issues, substance use disorder, economic issues. Like it's so much awareness we can raise on social media, connections to be made, networking, and all of that. So I'm grateful to be on here. I'm from Western North Carolina, a native of Western North Carolina, here in the Appalachia, and
Appalachia.
I wear many hats. Like a lot of, it's crazy. A lot of
Yeah.
community health workers wear many hats.
Mhm. Yeah.
A lot of us do.
Yes.
And like I heard, I was on a listening session. It was like a national community health worker listening session. It was less about 6 months ago, maybe. And I remember somebody said that community health workers are experts at figuring it out,
Mhm.
and that stuck with me. That stuck with me. But my job title, my full-time role, I'm the coordinator for a project called Inspire, which is focusing on people who have substance use disorder who are being released from long-term treatment or prison. And then I do work in the community as well as it relates to economic development, and I do a lot of advocacy, like for living wages, and then for programs that provide affordable housing.
Wow, that's a lot. You said that very quickly, but do you realize how much that is and how much we need to break that down? We
Yeah,
gotta we
yeah.
gotta break some of that down a little bit. So let's take me back to when you first learned about community health workers and how you got into the field.
Well, to be honest, man, so I've been a what they call a peer support specialist.
Hmm.
I've been a peer support specialist. I first got my training in 2012. And
Okay.
so I've been doing the peer support work since 2012. I didn't get hip to the community health workers until 2019, right? And so
Hmm.
there's a program that was for formerly incarcerated folks. Because see, that's my ministry, that's my passion, that's my work. Like returning citizen affairs is something that I'm very passionate about because my prison stint is what saved my life. You did.
Hmm.
So I learned about this program called the FIT program, which is in North Carolina. It's the formerly incarcerated transition program. And they utilize community health workers. They're staffed with community health workers who have experience being in prison. So the people getting out of prison that have chronic illness, including mental health disorders, them community health workers, they connect with them, establish rapport, because we've been in your shoes, you did, trusted
Yep.
members of the community, and
Hmm.
then we bridge the gaps to the resources. And so since 2019, that's when I first got plugged in, being at the seat. North Carolina just started hitting it real hard though, as far as going with this community health worker movement.
Hmm.
But my first assignments as a community health worker was getting out PPE when the pandemic first hit in 2020. So that
Okay.
that was really my first assignment as a community health worker by title. Prior to that, I was doing community health worker work, but I
Hmm.
wasn't being called a community health worker. I was being called a peer support specialist.
Okay. And so for people that may say, okay, I kind of feel like I'm doing something a little similar, what words of encouragement would you tell them that could help them catapult how you seem to have blossomed from where you were to where you are now? What really
Right
helped
on.
you?
Right on. So, I live by recovery principles, and I am a religious man. I know your viewers may not all be as
Hmm.
religious as I am. So, I'll say that I live by biblical principles, and that God connected me with recovery. Because see, substance use disorder, I'm in recovery from substance use disorder. I've been clean and sober for 12 and a half years. Glory be to God.
Whoop,
And so when I first got involved, in the recovery scene, what we understand in recovery is that iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And we also understand that the opposite of addiction is connection.
Mhm.
So the first things for me was the mentorship piece. That was the mentorship piece, and that's what I would recommend for anybody to stepping into a new arena or maintaining in your current arena. Man, it's really about the mentorship, having somebody who's holding you accountable, who's pointing your spirit, cheerleading for you, a safe zone to talk about what issues you having. Because with our clientele that we serve, a lot of times it can be draining. You did, so we got to make sure we
Yep.
take care of ourselves. A wise man told me you can't pour from an empty cup,
You can't.
and yeah.
You can't. And I love that you bring up mentorship because sometimes we can get stagnant and we may feel that I can make this happen. I don't need the help. I don't need it. I've been doing it this long, but I always feel that you can always learn from somebody else. I was just telling somebody that today. No matter how much experience, how many degrees you have, it
Come
don't
on.
matter. You can always learn from somebody, and it's amazing the people that you can learn the most from when you really just sit back and listen. When you really sit back and listen and you kind of take in different people's perspective. So thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
So for some people, mentorship might not seem as easy because they may be afraid to
Mhm.
even approach somebody and say, "Hey,
Mhm.
I'm really struggling with this. Can you
Yeah.
give me some guidance?" So how did you approach that?
Well, I came in operating in humility because, like I say, I'm always lean back on recovery principles because recovery gave me my life back. You did. So once I was in recovery, I understood that humility was important, and I also knew that open mindedness was important because you can't graft a new idea onto a closed mind. And a closed-minded person can't learn nothing new. They stuck. They lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So for me, if it was a person that's new in the field, if it's a person that's new in the field working as a community health worker looking to help people and heal the community, I would have an expectation on them to understand the value of mentorship, because when
Mhm.
you coming into this role, this is a very serious role that we playing. So I have an expectation on a person to understand the value of mentorship before they get in this work. Like for me, I'm not a trainer, but if I was a trainer, one of the things that I would continue to press is the mentorship piece, the accountability, things like that, because we get ready to hold people accountable. We got to practice what we preach, or what the Migos say: walk it like I
It's
talk
like,
it.
oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. But that's true. That is so true. And it's hard sometimes. It's not always easy, especially when it comes to those principles. Like it's summertime, right? We
Yeah.
out here trying to eat right, do right, and all of that. But also, we've been stuck in the house the past year with the pandemic, and people are starting to have barbecues and get out. And, so sometimes it can be a little hard. So, how do you keep yourself accountable?
So I have a team right now. I have a couple of them from church, and I have one from like the recovery community, and then the guys that I rock with. All of us are really on the same. We on the same type of time. Like we all, for the most part, either we provide reentry services or we providing like services for people like substance use disorder services,
Mhm.
or we go to the same church. So we hold each other accountable as it relates to our habits. You did like if it's too much video games, or exercise. Like we like to remind each other about exercise, and plus being somebody that's formerly incarcerated, a lot of us, you already know, we love to go lift weights.
Mhm.
And so whenever we not hitting the gym, we hold each other accountable. But accountability is very important to me because at the end of the day, like convictions save our life. Whether there's the internal convictions that people have trained us and trained our mind, and then we start implementing the things that somebody trained us to do, and then we have the internal conviction, or we have those individuals around us that we trust. I have individuals around me that I trust that can convict me whenever I'm doing something that I ain't got no business doing. Just like working too much. I done had people, they make sure you practicing self-care, Phillip. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I have to receive it from the people, because these are people that I allowed in my circle. And I'm careful about who I allow in my circle. I don't let just anybody be in my circle. You did. You
Mhm.
got to earn a right to be in my circle. At one point in time when I was in the streets, I had people around me that was snakes and people that was mooches and just trying to drain the life out of me. And then when I got my life right, gave my life to Christ, and I started valuing myself, then you got to make the cut to be over here, homeboy. You got to
Mhm.
be living on the same type of time of me, or I'm helping you get on this level that I'm on. Because
Mhm.
if I can't help you, Harry Hippie, you heard the song before. You know what I'm saying? So like the dudes that I'm rocking with, they can hold me accountable and vice versa.
And that's important. I think that's important in any situation, though. Even when it comes to friendships, when it comes to the colleagues that you are around, when you're trying to level up professionally,
Mm-hmm.
you got to have those type of people inside of your circle. And it's okay to not have people in your circle that are going to be yes men, that are just going to
Come on.
constantly tell you yes, and that's going to constantly agree with whatever you have to say. Listen, I have some really amazing friends in my circle that's like, Tasha, nah, that's not what that is. No,
Yeah,
ma'am. Like,
yeah,
no. And I'm like, what? That's a good idea, but I need them in my circle because they make me better. They make me think about things that other people may bring to my attention that I might take in a total different way because I know it's coming out of love from them. Sometimes it just might take me a minute because I'm like, whatever, like that was
yeah,
a good idea,
yeah.
but um I definitely think that that's important, especially as you're growing in your career. So you've kind of gone through some ups and downs, and you seem to have really found your spot and found your voice in the work that you do in the community. Because listen, you guys, he's always sharing resources and posting about what's going on in the community. So, how did you become so courageous in starting to open up and share your testimony, because that's not always an easy thing to do.
Well, it really started like with the recovery scene. Cause see, in recovery, like when people like when you stay clean and you have your celebration each year, you have different types of celebrations. And so one of the gifts that the Lord bestowed upon me was my ability to articulate a message and like public speaking and stuff. You
Mhm.
did.
Mhm.
So boom, that was given to me from God. And then so I got a lot of practice being in the recovery community. and
Gotcha.
also and also being in the city where I was tore up from the flow up. See, this the same city I was running the streets. People knew me from back in the day. So it wasn't nothing I could hide. Like really, when it got to the point to where, people seen me walking it out and they be like, hey, can you talk to my nephew or hey, my son getting out of hand, can and then the next thing I had this respect. The same city where people was like, man, you better watch out for him. Now these same people like, hey, how you doing, Phillip? I'm so
Mhm.
proud of you. So it was really like the people. The people gave me power. That's why I'm always committed to the people. See, the people put me in my position. You did, like the government and the stakeholders and stuff like that. I was holding them accountable. And rest in peace to George Floyd. But see, when
Mhm.
George Floyd died, then my voice started being heard a little bit more locally. And it's
Mhm.
sad. I was gonna post that on social media earlier because see, with community health work comes a level of advocacy. You feel me? And activating. You dig? And so, like when you start talking about social justice and everything, because when George Floyd died, everybody come out of nowhere want to talk about equity and diversity and everything. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so, for a person like me, being in this city and having people that start believing in me, and the next thing people was recommending me for jobs because like I don't have a bachelor's degree. You know what I'm saying? I have a 2-year degree, and I worked hard for my human services
Yeah.
degree, but I haven't got my bachelor's degree. People started promoting me and vouching for me. So I'm committed to the people because it's the people that put me where I am. That's why I'm so passionate about healing the community. One of the things, and I'm fired up now. You got me talking about the stuff,
Go
but but
ahead.
but one of the things that I'm passionate about now as a community health worker is the fatherless homes. The
Mhm.
fatherless homes, from the economic piece, from the healthcare piece, from the education piece, never because us as community health workers, we resource brokers. We know the game. We know how the game work. You dig? And so there's employers who want to hire people. Like she's so nice. She's so intelligent and articulate. She's sweet. But listen, you got to be careful. You trying to work up 40 hours a week, making 15, $16 an hour. She don't need that right now, homie. You know what I'm saying? She don't need to lose her daycare vouchers yet.
Mhm.
She ain't ready to lose her daycare vouchers yet. We start having to talk about the benefits cliff,
Mhm.
educating people about that. So for me, like I said, I'm always committed to the people. Even when I started leveling up in the workforce development world, it's like, okay, I'm here. We talking advanced manufacturing, but what about these single mothers over here? What about affordable housing for them? What about income-based housing for them? Because see, in my area, we in Ashville, North Carolina, it's a whole bunch of rich folk, and then you got the poor folk. You ain't got no middle. It ain't no middle. You got a whole bunch of tourists come here to retire, and then you got some natives here, you know what I'm saying, that have been around, you dig? But a lot of that gentrification, I don't know, where you at, sis?
I'm in Texas. I'm in
Oh,
DFW. Yeah.
man, I know it's hot down there, boy. Good gracious. I know it's hot. It's probably 90 something degrees down there right now.
Yeah, I'm in Texas. It is warm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
get fired up though.
Yeah,
But
but
just
you know
saying like the
what?
people, yeah.
It's okay because that's what you are passionate about. And people can see the passion. Like people that's never met you before and people that are listening to the podcast all over the world right now, they can feel your passion. They can hear your
Right on.
passion. So tell me this. Why do you think that it's so important for community health workers to be a part of the healthcare system? Why do you think that?
Well, for one, there's a lot of distrust. I mean, like even if we start talking about the vaccine, you know, I got vaccinated, but I could respect how some people wasn't willing to take the chance based off of things that have happened to our people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now I
That's
took a
true.
chance. I took a leap of faith with me being a community health worker, and I'm gonna be real with you. That so you and the viewers probably giggle at this, but it was funny because I'm out here trying to make sure that there's equity with getting out the vaccine.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
community health worker, I'm trying to make sure everybody got access, make sure you know what's going on, because everybody ain't got social media, and they was raising awareness on social media. So it was some people that wasn't getting the message. So I'm raising awareness and this, that, and the third, and then people like, which one did you get? I'm like, oh yeah, I ain't get it, and I got tired of saying it. They're like, well, why? How you trying to get me to get it? You ain't get
Like this, what's going on?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I ended up getting it, and so just like with that, like community health, me being a community health worker, I was able to be that intermediary between the two. You know what I'm saying? Able to translate the message to the system too, because they're like, why so many black people, it was some white folks that didn't know. They're like, I don't understand why. Then I had to say, well, what you know about Tuskegee? You know what I'm saying? What you know about this? Like this is what they're telling me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? But I had to be the bridge. I had to be the translator, and vice versa. Because it was my mentor that really lessened my mood. So my wife got vaccinated, my daddy got vaccinated, and then I was talking to my mentor, and he's a veteran, you did, and I got a lot of respect for him. He a beast. Dr. Bennett is his name, and I'm talking to him, and he was telling me how it was when he went to the army. He was like, bro, when I went to the army, man, I got so many daggone vaccinations, I didn't know what I was getting hit with. So if I ain't die from that. So and that helped me out a little bit too, and that goes right back to what I said about mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was somebody that I trusted. You feel me? So I was able to rock out that way. But as far as to your question, when you was asking about, what the role that the community health workers play in the healthcare system, it's a lot of roles we play as advocates, as translators, as making sure the messages are getting to the people and holding the people accountable, because we've been in their shoes before, especially like when you start talking about behavioral health. You dig? In my end, I see the lack of especially where I'm at now in Texas. Y'all blacked out. I already know what type of time y'all on. But where I'm at right now, there's a lack of diversity in the mental health workforce. So you have a lot of folks who are providing behavioral health services that don't look like the people that they're serving. So there's a distrust there.
Mm-hmm. And
So
that's true. I
yeah.
mean, because listen, for people that kind of really don't understand the benefits of community health workers, like he's been talking about building trust, building the relationship with people, and you can hear his passion. So if you're in a community and you are seeking resources, first of all, it's already hard for you to even admit that you are in need or for you to humbly go to someone and talk about mental health, that's very personal. All right. Anytime
Mhm.
you're in a situation of need, you're vulnerable. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why it's important to have someone that you may be more familiar with and who can understand your lived experiences, because that's something that you guys can kind of meet halfway on.
Mhm.
So tell me about a time where it's been really, really challenging for you to help maybe a patient or somebody in the community, and what you did to try to, bridge that gap.
Well, I could go with numerous ones. Like there was a guy, it was a career criminal. It was the pandemic, so I had mercy on folks who was getting out because I could understand that there's an increase in anxiety, increase in domestic violence, increase in overdose, increase in divorces. It was just a lot of discomfort. So somebody's
Mhm.
getting out of prison, coming home to a pandemic. People walk around with masks on their face and everything. And so this dude got out early because he had a chronic illness. You dig? And the prison started letting people out a little earlier because they was high risk. People was dying in prison from COVID. You dig?
Yeah.
So when he got out, I'm bridging the gap, helping him connect the resources. But I started noticing how he started slipping up. He was moving too fast. He wasn't listening. Like at one point in time, he wasn't taking his insulin. You did, and so like next thing you know, he back in the streets. He back on that bull. But I was going over and beyond to make sure he had his medication. I was going over and beyond to make sure that he was getting to like recovery meetings and stuff like
Mhm.
that and connecting the build community. And it was in the midst of the pandemic. But I say that situation, and I'm gonna go back to what I said about mentorship because people was telling me, Phillip, you can't pour from an empty cup. And at
Mhm.
that point in time, my cup was running empty because I was struggling from the pandemic
Mm.
myself. It
Yeah.
was hard. My homeboy died from an overdose. You dig? And then like me and my wife had to work the whole time. You did because she
Mhm.
work at the child crisis center, so
Mhm.
she working the whole time. Then we trying to figure out child care, and then it was just a lot of stress, and then I had him not doing what he was supposed to do, and I had expectations on him. But see what people told me. They said you do everything you supposed to do, and you can't control the outcomes.
Exactly.
That you can't control the outcomes. But see, me, I was on to control everything. Cause like I put all this work in, and I made all these connections for you, and you were supposed to be this kind of way. You dig, and really that wasn't on me. That was on him.
Exactly.
And it was because, and the reason I was feeling that way was because that cup was getting empty.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yep.
make it plain. I mean, that's it. That's it.
Yep.
That right there. And so if you find yourself, you guys, in that situation, I think that it would benefit you to kind of backtrack like he just described and
Yep.
really see where that root is. And then you might find out that, hey, you've been overpouring a little bit too much.
Come on.
A little bit too much. So, man, you do so much. I know that you're really engaged with the North Carolina CHW steering committee. And so, can you talk a little bit about that and what you guys are doing in the area of building up community health workers in your state?
So I know that there was a big push for the community health worker piece during the pandemic. A lot of it was like COVID response.
Mm-hmm.
That was some of the work that I was doing, like I say, getting out the PPE, the hand sanitizer, and everything like that. But see, the community health workers was already doing a thing with the FIT program prior to the pandemic. You dig? They was already, so they was coming from, I forget what it stands for, but it was TCN. And so they was like from it was a train, that training they had was like from Cali. And I did it, and then the community college got a hold of the training. They kind of overseeing the training right now. The community colleges are. And I did a community health worker supervisor training with MHP Salute. I don't know if
Oh,
you heard.
yeah. Yeah. Uh
Okay.
huh. Yeah.
So
Uh huh.
so I did a community health worker supervisor training for that. But like in Western North Carolina, we have with this Medicaid transformation, and so they're raising up community health workers, and I believe community health workers are gonna be integral as it relates to navigating the resources with the Medicaid changes. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that I want to make sure that I word this right because there was a foundation that was chosen to be a pilot for something with Medicaid. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I say this the right way. I don't like to misquote anything. I'm gonna go straight to the plug. So Dogwood Health Trust was chosen for a state Medicaid pilot program. You dig? And so this is a big deal for Western North Carolina. It's like 18 counties out this way. And so with Dogwood Health Trust being this pilot, they're going to be hiring up community health workers to assist with
Nice.
North Carolina Medicaid managed care and things of that nature, which is going to provide, opportunities for community members to have a job, leveraging their trust and their lived experience and everything. So that's why I was excited about the supervisor training, because I know some people know how to lead. They just need a little
Yeah.
polishing and learn some of the lingo, you dig, and to understand the accountability piece, because some people, they fought for everything they got, and then they get to the point to where they're in a position, sometimes it's like they don't it's hard to be held accountable now because I've arrived. And
Mm-hmm.
see, that's why I feel like I want to continue to be involved in like the supervisor piece and pouring into people's spirits and helping them understand like how you can do this work for a long period of time instead of it being just a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen a lot of people come and go, they get burnt out because they don't take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? They don't keep getting filled up. But you seeing people die, you know what I'm saying, from COVID. I'm pretty sure some community health workers were close to the families and stuff like that. You dig? And it has to that's a wear and tear on the spirit. So
Yeah.
it's important for people to take care of themselves.
Certainly. So, in talking about self care, what do you do for self care to make sure that you stay refueled and rejuvenated?
Well, I like to go to the gym. I go to the gym like 3, sometimes 4 times a week. I love going to the gym. I could do more cardio, but I like lifting weights to just give me peace. You know what I'm saying? Like I be in the gym, I put my headphones in, the world off. You did.
Mm-hmm.
I like church. With me being a spiritual guy, I'm not just talking about no pew sitting Christian either. I'm talking about I'm praised, I'm worshiping, my eyes closed. I ain't worried about what y'all doing over here and over there. It's me and it's me and God. So that praise and worship is very important to me. Having my sermons, I listen to sermons when I'm solo. Hearing that word, and then spending time with my loved ones. Making sure that I'm getting that time in, because it's really hard to have peace when the home front ain't at peace. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? A kingdom man. The first my first ministry is my family. You dig? So
Mm-hmm.
making sure the family good, and as far as self care for me, exercise. I do like massages. I wish I could get massages on the regular, like 2 times a month. If I could get massages 2 times, I ain't talking about no deep tissue. Them hurt. I like Swedish. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like if I could get 2 of them a month, woo!
You be good. So, you know that the importance of self care. And
Yes, man.
you've talked about the importance of the community health worker in the community and in the healthcare system. I know mental health is also really important to you, and it's also a huge part of the work that you do in recovery. So, can you talk about
Mhm.
the importance that community health workers should have some type of training around mental health, and why you think that's such a huge component that definitely needs to be a part of the training?
Well, looking at our people, we need trauma informed care anyway.
Mhm.
Because there's so many things, like even with the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, the ACE study, things like that, being aware of it, because a lot of times people live and they think the way that they do for a reason.
Yes.
They didn't all of a sudden just start having these skewed core beliefs. It's dependent upon what they went through. And so having some training surrounding mental health, not saying somebody got to be a daggone guru, but like mental health first aid training, RAP, which is wellness recovery action plan. You can do recovery coach, but just being aware, because in these spaces, in these neighborhoods, when you're dealing with people that's in poverty, poverty is what precedes what substance use, crime, and all that other stuff. So we got to be familiar. We got to be familiar, especially when we're working with folks in poverty. And the vast majority of the folks that I work with are in poverty. They're in
Mhm.
poverty. Whether they fresh out of prison or they living or from an economic standpoint, they trying to, some of the young sisters, the single mothers, empower to the young sisters, you know what I'm saying, that's getting it in. Like I had this one young lady in my program, she her baby father locked up, they charged him with murder. You know what I'm saying? She young. You might can see it on my LinkedIn. I had posted it on my LinkedIn. She, you know, she young and she holding it down by herself. She trying to get out of poverty. You know what I'm saying? And I got to understand what the poverty does to a person's mindset. You know, and that's why that mental health training is so needed. And I feel like everybody needs some type of baseline mental health training. Even when you start going in them higher levels and working in the hospitals with the doctors and stuff like that, I know they traumatized by some of the stuff that they see. You dig? And so it's important for us community health workers to be aware, you know, to have some baseline training, you know, at least mental health first aid and things of that nature, so we can be aware of how to best serve our clients. And whenever it's outside of our scope of practice too, because you know, some of us, we put that cape on, we ready to do it all. We mess around, put that cape on. Now, come on, sit down with me. Let me talk to you now. What's going on?
Yeah,
You know,
no.
they ain't ready to talk to you. They need to be talking to some clinician.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's important that we, know those boundaries because
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why. It's because you can get people to start sharing so much that they start to depend on you. And they
come
have
on.
to understand that boundary and that line of you are here as a resource. You're not here as you got something going on, you call me every 5-10 minutes. That's not how that really works. And you
Yep.
want them to get the right strategies and
Mm-hmm.
tools so that they can truly heal. I know we may be really amazing at CHWs, but when it comes to mental health and therapy and things like that, those strategies, that's something really serious. And that's,
Yeah.
really serious when you're dealing with somebody's emotions.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
so important.
Yep.
So, what is going on next with Philip? What direction are you headed with the ministry? What direction are you headed with where you want to grow and where you want to level up
Yeah.
professionally?
I wanna I wanna address the fatherless homes. You know what I'm saying? I can't let it go. Like, and it's different ways you can go with that. Like, you know, there's a part of it where somebody need to be working with the youth, like this youth that doesn't have a father in the household. But there's another part of it to where we have to look at the economics of the
Hmm.
household. What types of programs will best help this single parent have a healthy quality of life, and be on the way to home ownership. There's programs in place to where people can buy a house coming out of poverty, Habitat for Humanity. But you got to learn how to work the system. You got to learn how to make the system work for you. Somebody told me
Hmm.
that they say rich people make the system work for them, right?
Hmm.
So we got to help people learn how to make the system work for them. You dig? And so that's what I'm on, the fatherless home piece. I'm working on a project right now with some folks. I can be more verbal about it now because we got a meeting coming up in July. But see, we got a popping hospitality industry in this area, and some of the hospitality jobs don't pay that well.
Hmm.
But when we look at the mathematical equation of how the benefits cliff hits, right? You ever heard of the benefits cliff?
No, I heard you say that a while ago, and so I'm like,
Okay,
what
so
exactly did you mean?
how much time I got before I get turned up?
Oh no, go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. So the benefits cliff is when, like, so for example, if it's a mother that has two kids, a
Hmm.
single mother that has two kids, she get a job making $15-$16 an hour, her daycare vouchers get cut
Oh
or the
yeah,
Medicaid get cut. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
we call it a cliff because it ain't no soft landing. It's like boom, they see that check, that money coming in, like whoop, you out of there. And your
Yeah.
daycare vouchers go from 200 a month to 700 a month. That's a big jump when you
Hmm.
look at the difference in how much per hour the person is getting paid. And
Hmm.
then you look at how the food stamps get cut. So anyway, like, that's where my passion is at, especially from an economical standpoint for the households, the fatherless homes, because we have to help them, especially when they're young. And we got to stop thinking we get ready to solve it at a high school. By the time they hit high school, they gone. Like, even middle school now, they off the
Yeah.
chain. Them youngins off the chain. So we got to
Yeah.
catch them. We got to catch third to sixth grade. That's the school to prison pipeline. So we got to start catching them and catching the families. We got to help the family. They always want to make programs for the kids. Programs for the kids. It don't mean the hill of beans if you make all these programs for the kids and then they go right back home to something that's broken.
Mm.
So that's what's next for me. Behavioral health, of course, I'm going to continue to be one of the leaders in the region with behavioral health because I'm in long-term recovery, and that's, I'm passionate about it. But
Yeah.
as far as the community health worker piece, and we talk about the economic health, and we talk about, the environmental health, and we talk about the education, you did the social determinants of health, especially of Black people. You dig? I feel like we got to do something about the fatherless homes. That's how we gonna have a piece of the incarceration rates. That's how we gonna have a piece of the out of school suspensions. Is by addressing the social determinants of health of the fatherless homes.
All right, man. I cannot wait to follow up with you and see what's going on with that initiative because it's very important. We all know someone who, has been there. We all know someone that's been there. And it's very important to have those resources for our kids and for those grandparents, those aunts, uncles, all of those people that are engaged in those children's lives as they're coming up. So I cannot wait to hear what you do with this initiative. I do have a question.
Okay.
So change agent, I see that's on your shirt. Is that like your coined thing or what's that? What's the
And
history with that?
I'm gonna tell you, sis, it's funny, right? So when the t-shirt, I've always been about like wearing company t-shirts and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And so I was selling t-shirts like to buy my wife's engagement ring. I sold some t-shirts that had perseverance versus everything, and people just was starting to know me by t-shirts. So I got a parody. You ever heard of Supreme? Supreme, it's a
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
yes, yes.
expensive. So
Uh-huh.
I did like a parody and I put change agent, and I've always stuck with this term change agent ever since I was in school in human services, because I remember when I first read it in the textbook and I was like, yeah, that's dope, change agent, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I made the shirts, and then I remember people buying the shirts and they loved them and it was like wanting them, but I didn't have, wasn't on that type of time with hustling apparel. Maybe you could provide me some peer support on how to go about selling apparel,
Uh-huh.
because I want to sell the shirts, but it's not a brand or anything. Like I have a consultancy, Change Agent Cooper LLC, where I
Uh-huh.
provide, services with developing community health workers and peer support specialists with a specialty on recovery and reentry.
Uh-huh.
That's what I do with my consultancy. I also do like paid speaking engagements and group facilitation, stuff like that. But what my the nonprofit that I started, it's called Operation Gateway. But this right here, what I be look, I point to the wrong side. It's right over there. But change agent, I got to the point to where I give out the t-shirts and I tell people stories. Like we got to connect on Facebook too. But like that's what I do. I do it some on Instagram, but Facebook has been my jam, and LinkedIn. But
Yeah.
like I'll give a shirt to somebody. I hadn't been selling them. I'll get a shirt to somebody and then I'll tell a story. Like for example, I say meet Tasha. Tasha is a community health worker. She's a podcast guru. She's working in the community. This, that, and the third. Tasha come from this kind of
Uh-huh.
all the things
Uh-huh.
that you would want to say. Her passions is, and then people like meet Tasha. And I like to tell people's testimonies. And some point in time, somebody gonna give me some money to just keep telling people stories, or I'm gonna invest and start selling them, because a lot of people be wanting the shirts. I just ain't got no time to be selling no t-shirts.
That's so funny because I literally was thinking like, okay, is that like, his coined like name that people like call him or what? I didn't really know. So that's really cool to know the background of it because you are a change agent though. I love
Yeah.
that, man. You need to add that on. We'll have to talk afterwards.
Right on.
So, where can people find out more about you and what you got going on?
So LinkedIn, I ain't gonna lie, LinkedIn and Facebook, man, because like I don't even have a website, yo. Like
That's all
I legit, just like, I mean, look at us. We connected you in
right.
a whole nother state in Texas, community health working straight from social media. Because
Yeah,
it's power in social media when used wisely.
exactly.
So people that want to connect, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And that's really the best way. And then I announce stuff. I'm very transparent, especially like when grant money is involved. Like if there's a grant that come out, I like for people to know what's going on.
Mhm.
Like, because I want the community. Like the definition of community health worker, a trusted member of the community.
Yes,
And I want
trusted
to
keyword.
always have that trust, because like I said earlier, the people put me in this position. It
Mhm.
was the people. It was the people trusting me to help them. It was the people that was fighting. Like whenever I didn't have a voice, it was people going and saying, "What about Phil? How they end up with that? What y'all know about Phillip Cooper's program?" You know what I'm saying? It was the
Mhm.
people. So I'm gonna always be committed to the people, want the people to trust me, because I don't trust the system either. Just to be clear, I don't trust the system. I mean, I've been screwed over by the system even since I've been a service provider. So I definitely don't trust the system. But I trust God, and I trust that God put me here to be somebody who disciples people, and that's what we do as community health
Yeah.
workers. We ain't doing no discipling. We discipling people as it relates to healthcare.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that analogy. So
Yep.
I like to do this thing where I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. You have no clue what they're going to be. And it's just going to be, rapid fire. You say the first thing that comes to your mind. And then we are going to wrap this thing on up. All right.
All right.
All right. Complete this sentence. CHWs are.
Experts are figuring it out. Oh,
Ch-
was it a one word answer or don't know?
no, you're
Okay.
good. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry ice cream.
Strawberry.
Sports car or luxury car?
Minivan. Hell.
What? You are telling a fib. There is no way. What is
uh
your favorite car? What is your favorite car?
I want a Suburban. I want one of them brand new Suburbans, like all
Okay.
white tinted windows looking like the feds.
Okay. All right. Last one. Your favorite animal is
Dog.
what kind?
Man, I had a bully. I want to get enough. Man, we had a very bad experience during the pandemic. I know we wrapping up the podcast, but it's we had a bully that bit my daughter in the face, but we was new to having dogs and stuff. And my
Mhm.
daughter is very bold, and he had bit her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I really was starting to like the dog. I'm a very busy man, and so like it was hard having a puppy and stuff like that. But like when life slows down, like I would love to have a dog because I was really starting to connect with the dog.
All right. I'm going to ask you one more. You want to be remembered as.
A man of God.
All right, y'all. That's how we wrapping this on up. Thank you so much, Philip. I really enjoyed this podcast.
Right on. Thank you for having me, sister.